So, we're looking at the Princeton Sandstone. Big blocks of the Princeton, a good opportunity that we all look at it and take notes on it. And we're going to walk down the left because this is an interval. The Eads mill member top comes in at the end of the cut. And this whole face here is a unit you only see a few places that's unnamed. And paleoclimatically, you'll see that it's gray, glade, which means it was fairly wet and reduced. No red beds. A little bit of red back here, but not up here. There's actually a little coal bed coming through here. So, look at the Princeton. This is characteristic of the bottom part of the Princeton.
Characteristic of the Princeton?
Yes.
Okay, this is not what I saw on Paris Knob. Yeah. It doesn't look anything like it.
Sometimes you get bigger, but this is pretty characteristic.
What I had was
big,
huge white quartz pebbles.
See the where weathering? It's slightly calcareous. There's a little bit of calcite cement in it.
And the bugs, what are the bugs from this shale weathering out? These little...
Well, this is coming from up on top of the high wall here.
Weathering of the shaly material? Or is that...
Well, any of the shaly stuff, the clay galls will be coming from what it dug out of.
And you're only going to find the conglomeratic stuff at the base?
Pretty much. As you get up, you lose the pebbles, okay. Usually. We'll have a test later.
So is this already the Eads mill, the failure stuff, or is that just like unnamed member?
Unnamed member.
Okay.
And the Eads comes in. See it over there? You see a little bit of red beds?
Yeah.
Just below that, we get into the Eads,
okay.
The top of the Eads.
I mean, I definitely could
well,
see
Eads is predominantly limestone, right?
No, it's got 2 limestone beds and a lot of shale.
Oh, okay. So 2 in the black. Is a black shale between the 2?
Yes. The wetland. So we brought you all here because this used to be a good exposure. We have the top of the Eads mill is concealed here now. We have the marine fossils at the top of the unit. Come up through a terrestrial sequence of paleovertisols, and we got floodplain hell, we used to call it. Immature paleosols and siltstones, a little bit of sandstones come up. We actually have a really crappy coal bed there. And you saw the light colored weathering out of that face under the limes of the sandstone. Mm-hmm. So that's what we call glaying. That means it was pretty wet. But most of the time, as we'll talk the next couple of days, you'll get tired of me saying semi-arid, semi-arid, semi-arid. But we had a few wet pulses. This is not a good time of year. And when you find fresh cuts, you got to jump on them when you have them. This was 100% exposure. I was trying to think, it's probably 2002, 2001 we measured this. I'd have to look at my notebook. But, so we have a unit identified. We also have this exposed a couple of places in downtown Princeton that they totally screwed up where they were. Type Princeton coming in, they say, oh, there's the Terry and the Eads, and what we call the Eads now. And we'll see that tomorrow when we go to the type Eads mill and look at this next unit below the Princeton. And break out the units. We'll talk about how the names got screwed up as we move along. But if everything's layer cake, if you go on marine, terrestrial, marine, and we now know because of the Ice Age, these marine events that are separated by well-defined soil horizons, thick sequences of the soils, aren't related to each other. So you have all these transgressions, regressions, and these units we've been able to track them into the European section all across Europe and North America were one continent at the time. And so we did it for Pennsylvania. I did it for the upper Mississippian also. We were able to show, based on posies, plants. Maybe a brachiopod now and then or something. The correlation between here and Poland, and explain why the rocks are different. That, as I said before, that was my story. So we all looked at the Princeton. We'll see it again. You'll get tired of the Princeton after a while, but
These red, those
I think this one is, yes.
paleosols, and so then wouldn't you expect to see plant fossils?
No.
No.
Especially red beds that's been oxidized.
Well, so they're soil, so they don't have vegetation on.
Well, they have on them. You would expect. You do see roots at times. Only what was the last thing growing there.
Right.
But when we get a couple good examples of these vertisols, we'll look at them in detail, the structure and what they mean.